Hello and welcome. I am Ben the Best 5 and I'm coming at you with yet another Kerbal Space Program video. In this particular mission here, we are in fact flying a new type of reusable booster I haven't used before, but I didn't bother including a construction montage of because it's pretty simple, it's pretty basic. It's just two large 2.5 meter diameter fuel tanks on top of each other on top of a main sail engine. But yes, the mission today is in fact going to be to go to Minmus to land, to collect science, to plant a flag, in fact collect science from both the surface and the space near it, land, and also deploy a satellite into orbit around Minmus. Oh yes, there's also a a dock in orbit of Minmus. So for this we will in fact be using a lander as well as a orbiter. In fact, I got really fancy. I made a 2-stage orbiter just simply because, well, why not? Anyway, this yes, we will just begin circularizing, and then also, yes, as you can see, there's the lander there. It is 2 stages, and it has a probe core as well as some antennas on top of it, as well as solar panels, because that's right, the ascent stage of the lander will be my satellite, which I will then deploy to the designated target orbit once I am finished doing the landing and docking bit. Now here I am just showing some very sped up footage of a booster landing, just because I've done a whole bunch of these, and this one is basically the same as all the rest of them. It goes up to a suborbital height, uses its engine to slow down because it's a bit heavy, and now it parachutes itself down, and I can recover it at about 95% value and get those important funds back. Anyway, now that that's done, I am going along here and I'm creating a maneuver node. I went at the descending node just because I was a bit off, and descending node, as seen in my last video, is a point where the orbits will cross. So I just messed around here for a bit, just reeling in my orbit until it got to about where I wanted, but I couldn't get exactly precise just off the bat from my initial messing around in low Kerbal orbits, so I in fact instead created a second maneuver node nearer to Minmus, which allowed me to make more precise burns, and by doing that I was then able to successfully complete the mission. Now also for this, so the original mission profile was I put more fuel inside the lander than I knew I would need, so I could in fact use the lander then to perform my trans Minmus injection, and then leave the extra fuel, or the extra fuel tanks, on the surface of Minmus, along with all the science gear that I wouldn't be needing to take. However, I did start to get nervous, even though I didn't need to, because, well, quite frankly, landing on Minmus takes almost no fuel, so I could have in fact just left it as that, but just to err on the side of caution, I did decide rather kind of pointlessly to start to drain fuel into the fuel tanks of the lander just to save fuel. However, that was really not necessary. So anyway, in a minute you'll actually start to see me creating the maneuver node I planned earlier. Well, I talked about earlier, sorry. But anyway, before we can actually do that, we have to reconfigure our vessel. And both sides are controllable, so it'll be nice and easy. We can, since they're nice and close, we can actually just point them to each other. And I just changed the engine we were using just to make sure that, well, I'm just performing, even though the two engines are the same and we could transfer fuel around them, I just wanted to use the engine closest, just because, I don't know, that just seems like a good idea. Anyway, so getting a nice precise maneuver, although it's less efficient the further you are away from Kerbin, doesn't really matter because Minmus is quite small, so it could afford to make a course correction burn quite a way out and near to Minmus in order to bring ourselves into a nice and desirable rendezvous orbit. And so yes, the profile was in fact always designed to use the lander for the injection burn, but then use the command pod for the slowdown burn and the return burn. Just because it worked out that way in the vehicle assembly building, and we basically performed it that way, except for the fuel you saw me pumping into the lander for really no good reason earlier. I guess I just wanted to err on the safe side, because stuff can go wrong. But the thing about Minmus is, well, if you do a really rough job, it'll take you about 300 meters per second of delta V, and I'm talking like a really rough job, like super bad. It's a miracle you made it kind of rough. Anyway, so I've loaded the engineer into the lander, and we will in fact start to land him. The reason I put our engineer into the lander is because we don't need a pilot on it to fly it, because it has a probe core as well as some antennas, and we would need a pilot on board just simply because, an engineer on board, so that we can make the best of our deployable base, because our deployable base requires 2 units of science, because we have the GU unit as well as the command center for the deployable base, which both need power. Solar panel, if deployed by someone who's not an engineer, will only produce 1, however if produced by an engineer who's at least level 2, it will in fact produce 2 units of power. Our engineer is 3, so it produced 3, which is unnecessary, but it doesn't matter for this purpose. We could have sent someone down, like a scientist, to deploy our science to make it yield more science. However, that would have meant that we would have required a second storage bay for our experiments, which would have greatly increased the requirements of our lander, which you can see me landing here. Also, I don't think I mentioned this earlier, so I'll quickly mention it now. The purpose of this mission was in fact to create a rocket more efficient, well, the most efficient possible rocket to complete the mission. Because previously some of my other rockets have been a little bit, have completed the mission and been a little bit, however, had a little bit left over and been a bit excessive. For example, my two-stage rendezvous and dock around the Mun. That mission could have been a lot smaller, so this mission was kind of a bit like that. I reckon that this particular one could do the Mun as well. However, I designed it to basically be as efficient as possible. Anyway, while I was talking about that, our Kerbal in fact landed himself on the moon, or the moon of Minmus, because Minmus is a moon, but it's not the moon, because Kerbal has multiple moons, not a moon. Anyway, so here he is deploying science. Deploying the deployable sciences, because that's actually a pretty good idea, because it does generate science. However, it generates it in a bit of a slower and more thorough way than just like a lab. Like a lab would just sit there and mass produce science for you for, well, forever. However, deployable science will only send back small amounts of science, and only when they are in range of a satellite and stuff, and I'm pretty sure they run out of data, like the goo there will like transmit all of its data and then like it'll be run out. So it's a bit fairer than something such as a lab, which generates basically an infinite amount. Anyway, he collected all the science and put it into his pod, and also did a crew report, which is very important. Anyway, here he is blasting off with that very tiny second stage. The second stage does not need to be big, because Minmus is tiny, has almost no gravity, and also taking off takes almost no delta V. I in fact forgot to check which direction I need to take off in to be in the correct orbit to meet up with our spacecraft, so my initial orbit is rather, or my ascent is rather chaotic and turns around in multiple directions, but I eventually managed to get it reasonably in kind of a reasonably accurate distance. Now, for example, if this was in orbit around St. Kerbin, that inclination there would be catastrophic. However, since it's Minmus, we could in fact be heading the wrong direction, completely 180 degrees opposite to our target, and we'd be fine. And you'll notice that I had to deploy the antennas. That's just because we needed to get a connection to the Kerbal Space Center. However, we couldn't because the built-in aerial isn't big enough. However, those two there are more than sufficient to transmit to the probe core, which means we can do important stuff like maneuver nodes. And here I am circularizing around the moon now, and now what you're going to see is some rather drastically sped up footage of me just chasing the target, or the command module, around the surface of Minmus, or playing a maneuver node in several orbits time, or playing several maneuver nodes. The first one you saw me execute a few minutes ago was to just change my inclination to be correct, and the second one you see me creating now is just a small one in about 10 orbits time or whatever, to bring an encounter down. And now for something like this, we are trying to rendezvous in something like Minmus. You do want to just set up an orbit so that it's lower than or a bit higher than the other, and then you just wait a few orbits until you have a naturally close one, tweak it around with a very small one, and then just bring them together quite easily by docking and pointing them at each other, and then thrusting forward slightly on the docking ports. And as you can see, that's me just quickly docking the two Kerbals together. However, I nearly forgot the science like I did from the last one, so I sent a Kerbal to go back and collect the science from our now satellite, and now I'm just going to quickly perform the satellite mission. So I'm just going to drag the make a maneuver node and kind of drag it out. Also, beforehand you saw me make a maneuver node really quickly and just kind of drag it out. That was just to double check and make sure that I had enough fuel in the satellite to successfully perform the burn, which I did. So hooray, that worked nicely. And in fact, I've just completed the initial burn to bring us up into a reasonably high periapsis, and I'm just going to burn now and finalize our orbit to bring it close enough to the target orbit that it says it's mission success, and I'm just going to wait until it gives me the mission success. And from here I just did an EVA report there to make sure I fulfilled the mission which we had, which was get science data from around Minmus. And here we are just performing a standard return burn on the side of Minmus closest to Kerbin, because that's the side you want to burn if you are going to be doing that. And we are re-entering here as our command module disintegrates and explodes from the heating. However, our Kerbals drop nice and safely down to the ground in their pod with the heat shield, very important, and the parachutes will deploy when they're low enough and will drop them safely to the ground, as seen here. And yeah, we'll recover the Kerbals and they'll be home safely. Mission success, everybody. All 5 contracts completed. Yeah, so here we can see we got a massive science payload from this. In fact, we could have created an even smaller rocket, and in fact used our Kerbal as a lander, because there's enough fuel in their packs to do that. However, we couldn't have gotten that massive science haul, which is why I built something a little bit less efficient. Anyway, this is the end of the video. Thank you for watching. If If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. If you want to see more of this stuff, please subscribe, because that's the easiest way that you can see more of my content and support me. Other than that, I hope you have a great day, and thank you for watching.